Hi guys, we get a lot of questions about how I get my hair and my waves so silky smooth. So I'm gonna let you in on the secret now. We have these 100% satin do-rags. These are good for all hair types and textures. Whether you have waves, whether you've got plaits, whether you've got dreads, whether you just want to keep your hair flat. Gents as well. This is for the man them, you know. Don't tell anyone I told ya. If you want to extend that haircut, then throw on your do-rag, man. Tie it at night, you roll around, it flattens the hair. Ladies, you get your nice little do on, you want to look good, you got a big date coming up. Tie it down, boo. You don't need to worry about it messing up when you wake up. You jump up. Come, so you ready for road, man? 100% satin do-rags. Click the link in the bio.
I got my new thing imported. I got the Christian Dior. They wanna look at the foreign. They couldn't even afford it. Look what I did with the bag. Look what I did with the bag. I got the thing in the back, and I ain't taking no chat. I got my new thing imported. I got the Christian Dior. They wanna look at the foreign. They couldn't even afford.
Follow us on Instagram at Express Truth Show.
Unfiltered people, we're back up in the building. Express Truth Show, making Thursdays great again. And before we do anything else today, people, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, man. Shout out to the Patreon crew. We're back up in the building, man. People, do not forget to leave a comment and do not forget to hit that notifications bell, man. So anything we drop, it flashes up. Express Truth Clips, big up yourself, man. We have hit that all-important 1,000 subscribers milestone. I believe at the time of recording this, we're on like 1,100 and something. So shout out to everyone who's been going over there and hitting that subscribe button. Express Truth Clips, people. A bag of clips are being uploaded. There's a lot of different topics that we're covering on there, including sports and everything like that. So head over to the Clips channel, man, and make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell on that as well, man. Before any more long talking, let me bring in my co-host, Stephen Brown. Stephen, what are you saying, man?
In the building, man. Express Truth Show. Greatest show on earth. Changing the world one Thursday at a time. Your favorite podcast. Always unbiased, unapologetic, and unfiltered, man. What we saying, man, before we kick it off like a game of FIFA, G?
Chilling, man. It's been some nice weather, some decent weather. Caught piece of the sun today. Definitely got a light glow going on. So, yeah, man, can't really too complain, Stephen. Can't really too complain, man. Things are good. What you saying?
Yeah. I'm all right still. I'm all right. Just enjoying the weather and all that. You get me? There, blood. Before we kick it off like a game of FIFA and all that. What you saying, man? Talk to me nicely.
It's the same old, Stephen. The same old, man. I'm just glad to be back on here, going in and discussing what we're going to discuss today. But other than that, though, like I said, man, we have to back a Derby, Deadpool, YouTube Black event. Things are good, man. Things are good, Stephen. The only way is up. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Definitely.
it. Got a few more movies that I'm looking forward to, even though The Boys is now finished. I know you're watching that now, but yeah, man, that you know my thoughts on that already. So I'm looking to see how these movies are gonna start improving, because since COVID, there's been very few that I've really, really sat down and actually enjoyed.
Everything's rubbish, bro.
It's the truth.
I'll just say Invincible's cold, but it's dragging. The Boys, too much funny man stuff, and it's dragging. Marvel have totally lost the plot. They had to bring back Iron Man as Doctor Doom and all of that. Like, it's all over the shop, blood. It's all over the shop. Deadpool and Wolverine, spoiler free, little talk on that. It's good still, 7 out of 10, but again, too much funny man jokes. But even that, it didn't really drive the story forward. That literally, like what I said to you when we came out of it, it was literally a vehicle just to transport over all of the properties from Fox into the MCU officially, and mutants and all of that stuff. That's all that was for,
Yeah, I agree.
But I know you were a bit, I won't say upset, disappointed that they haven't continued with it. I know they're not got majors anymore, but that they're not continuing with the Kang storyline. But I said to you, it's not really a loss, you know. And you want to hear why it's not a loss? Majors was cold. I don't see anyone else who could do it, but it wasn't implemented correctly, Mark. Because tell me what they had done other than one little end credit scene with Kang.
There was
He was in
nothing.
Loki
There was nothing. There was nothing.
as some variant, but that didn't make no sense. And it did make sense, but it didn't go anywhere. And then
It was slow.
The same thing with blooming Ant-Man. It was another throwaway variant. It didn't go anywhere. It was stupid. It was rubbish.
Yeah, the story building wasn't right. It wasn't right. It weren't built right. But I was excited to see how it would go. Nothing that they put out had excited me yet, but I was excited to see what direction they were going to go in with Kang. That's what I wanted to see. I mean, the Doctor Doom storyline, I think they were going to get there anyway, but for me, it's like, you know, like, how can I use the analogy now? You know, like they're saying, okay, it's a new era of Marvel and it's a new day of Marvel and all these new movies are coming out. And, you know, we're saying goodbye to Captain America. We're saying goodbye to Iron Man. We potentially could be saying goodbye to Thor. A load of other people have hung up their capes, yeah? But then you go back and grab everyone back to bring them back. To me, that shows you that you didn't really know how you were going to move forward. So the universe building, I don't think we'll ever see it done to the level that it was done 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, when Iron Man first came out.
You're right. I agree wholeheartedly, but they've done it to themselves. Because like I keep saying to everyone, I don't know why they suddenly decided to change everything. Because no one can... and people that try to say, oh, superhero fatigue. I said there was no superhero fatigue because Endgame dropped. It was a bad boy. Then they went away for a year or two or however long it was. Didn't drop anything. Then they came back. Everything was sub-quality and the stories were garbage. So they did it to themselves.
1,000%. But I'm starting to get to the place that you was at, where I just believe that the genre may have reached the end of its tether. That's what I believe. I just think that it could be done. It could be done.
When I say that, I don't mean like, oh, the superhero thing's never going to be good again. But I don't know if it's going to be a dominant force again that it was.
No, I don't. I agree. I'm starting to see. At first, when you used to say that, I was like, maybe it could come back. But now I'm starting to think, nah, it's done. I'm starting to think it's done. I hope it ain't, because like I said, Stephen, there was a lot of moments, great moments in cinema that come from that. But it may be over with now, I believe, because that Deadpool, I've seen a lot of men have scored it 10 out of 10, which I think it depends what you're looking for, but my thing was always the universe building. As a standalone film, one time, watch it, go cinema, yeah, it was very good, but part of the bigger picture, I'm still lost into what's happening. I'm seeing Blade, I'm seeing this man, and spoilers, fam, it's been over a week. I'm seeing Gambit, I'm seeing Juggernaut, this one, that one, and I'm like,
Johnny Storm.
It's just name drops. That's all it is. It's just like, yo, it's just nostalgic now, man. That's all it is.
Because they said that it was an 8 out of 10. You know, this is what Kevin Feige said. So he said if Endgame was a 10 and Infinity War was a 9 in terms of like the scale of how it affected the MCU, he said that was an 8, and I agree still. I only agree in terms of, like I've said before, and I'm going to keep saying, it's brought the properties over. That's why you had Blade. That's why you had Elektra. That's why you had Gambit. That's why you had the old Juggernaut. That's why you had Sabretooth. That's why you had Johnny Storm. You know, it's just say like, all right, the Sony stuff, yeah, we're all one now. You know what I mean? But other than that, there's no world building, G. There's no world building.
None at all, man.
And we've got a Wolverine back and all of that.
None at all.
But I feel like Deadpool, it was part of it, but it still felt like its own thing, because that's definitely just setting up the Fox ownership, and it's just gearing. For me, it just felt like it's gearing up for the official X-Men.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But okay, let's get into this week's show, people. Very serious topic that we are beginning with, which, let's be honest, man, I believe these type of stories are too common now. It's starting to become way too common, these type of public attacks and things of this nature. So let's head over straight to the BBC website and get into this thing, man. 3 young girls have been killed in a ferocious knife attack in Southport at a Taylor Swift themed dance and yoga event. They have been named as 6-year-olds. I don't even want to say their names, just out of a respect thing. I don't want to mention no children's names, but 3 young girls. One was 6, one was 7, one was 9. 8 more children were injured, with 5 left in a critical condition after the incident late on Monday morning. 2 adults also suffered critical injuries, Merseyside Police said. Armed officers detained a male and seized a knife, with police later saying that a 17-year-old boy had been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. The attack is not being treated as terror-related, police said. Okay, I just want to get into a little bit of how the attack unfolded. Yeah, I don't want to show the Well, you can see the little girls. It's really sad, man, because it's sad. But let's read how the attack unfolded. Police were called to reports of a stabbing at a property on Hart Street in Southport just before 10 to 12 on Monday. Officers were shocked to find multiple people, many of whom were children, had been subjected to a ferocious attack and had suffered serious injuries. Police believe a group of children were attending an event at a dance school when a person armed with a knife walked into the building and attacked those inside. 2 adults were critically injured, bravely trying to protect the children from the attack, police said. A 6-year-old, 7-year-old died on Monday, while a 9-year-old died in hospital early on Tuesday morning from injuries sustained in the attack. In a tribute issued through police, the family said, "No words can describe the devastation that has hit our family as we try to deal with the loss of our little girl." Meanwhile, the family of the other little girl said, "Keep smiling and dancing like you love to do, our princess. Like we said before to you, you're always our princess and no one would change that. Love from your hero, mommy and daddy." Her parents are from Madeira in Portugal, but the family now lives in Southport, a Portuguese government minister said. Wow. So there's a lot to unfold here. There's a lot to unpack right here. And what can you say, man? These attacks are becoming way too common, and they're becoming more and more devastation unfolds each time, Stephen. This attacker has now targeted young children. So now an attack has now hit young children like this. And what can you say, man? I mean, I just believe like this is the start of potential anarchy. I think the British public are fed up of these attacks. They're fed up of, the way how things are being hidden, the way how things are being worded. It's not a terror attack, things like that. The British public are fed up, man. And we're seeing the scenes that unfolded in Southport yesterday, where there was like mini riots. And to be honest with you, can you blame the public for feeling this way? Can you blame them? Now, I do understand that the press are doing a lot of misinformation and there are a lot of misleading titles. Allegedly, this was a man who was born and raised in Southport. This wasn't some second-generation immigrant. This was someone who was born and raised in Southport and got to the point of doing something heinous like this. Stephen, what are you saying, man? What are you saying?
Terrorism is an action or threat designed to influence the government or intimidate the public. Its purpose is to advance a political, religious, or ideological cause. All right, intimidating the public. So stabbing a bunch of kids wouldn't intimidate the public?
I believe it does. A bunch of children that are dancing, trying to learn Taylor Swift is not an act of terrorism.
Nah,
That's crazy to me.
I think they're gonna say he was just having a bad day.
In my world, that's terrorism to the highest degree.
Terrorism 101. It's selective. Do we know anything about the? Apparently, it's a 17-year-old. So they say. But
Allegedly, 17 Rwandan heritage, Rwandan born in Southport. Allegedly 17. They haven't released his picture yet for obvious reasons.
Yeah, because I know the police were saying there's a name floating around, but they claim it's incorrect details. But there's been a lot of debate online because big up the admin. I know the video was posted earlier, which was showing the aftermath of the people of the local community showing their frustration and their feelings towards the system. And it's been pretty divided. It's been pretty divided. Some people are saying like, yeah, them things we run, it's good, etc., etc. Others are saying, no, it's not the way and all of this. But I'll be honest. And then there's even rumors. This is coming from the media and the police. They're trying to say the EDL was involved. Don't know if that's true or not. Like, I'm not putting that out there as express truth. I'm just reiterating what's already been put
they're saying
out there.
the EDL is involved in the unrest.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it was BBC or Sky who reported that. So don't think it's us just talking at the mouth. These things have been reported in the black and white. Yeah. Mark, I don't know. I can't blame them because this thing is becoming. I'm kind of getting numb to it, which is terrible, and I'm actually disgusted that I feel like that. But every week, I was speaking with someone about this yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, are you surprised?" I said, "Nah, I wasn't surprised at all." They were like, "Oh, it was kids though." I said, "Nothing in this world shocks me anymore. People are capable of anything. You can think about the lowest level of disgust. Someone will do it somewhere, or a group of people will do that somewhere. The only thing I'll be honest about, Mark, is the only thing I found surprising was the geographical location. Because I said, huh? Those zones, that's like hearing a madness going on at Blackpool, for example. You know what I mean?
That's the scary part about it.
When you're trying to get your little rock and your fish and chips and your sugar donut and them thing there. That's what I was like, huh? I imagine that though, Mark. No, but my point being, Cake, imagine what I've just said. The only thing I took away from it initially is, oh my gosh, it happened there. Not even like, oh my gosh, it's kids. Oh my Lord, they were trying to dance to Taylor Swift. Oh, the youth 17, possibly from over there, but he lives over it. None of that, Mark. It was literally where it was because I'm so desensitized. And that's terrible. And I actually feel awful. But it's the way of the world now. It's the way of the world and it's disgusting. I can understand their unrest. I'm not saying that it was justified. I can't answer it, Mark, because I can't even try and put myself in their shoes. But I understand it. Yeah, I understand too. The frustration. I understand it. Think about it. Let's say I'm assuming it's a small, little, nice community. I'm assuming, yeah. Sole assumptions. Correct me if I'm mistaken. But let's say let's say you're related to these girls, or you know these girls. You might have seen these girls from them eye day and as the Jamaicans would say, yeah. You might have seen them from them barn, they're growing in your hand, and then you hear one day, oh, they're at dance class and they've been stabbed and they're dead.
That's what I'm saying. They're just doing what children do during the summer holidays. They broke up from school. What are we in now? What's this, the third week of the holidays now? So 3 weeks ago, they've just broke up from school, probably all brought gifts for their teachers, all of that. Because I've been doing the same thing with my children, so I know. And then 3 weeks into this, they're at a summer camp. Someone targets that summer camp and comes in there with an intention to kill them. Come on, man, that community, I don't condemn them at all. That community have every right to feel the way they're feeling. And even if let's keep this thing 1,000, Stephen. You gotta think, yeah. Right now we're in Britain. That happened in Southport. The other day it was Croydon, even though that was more a personal situation. Then you had the situation, not the one where the guy killed his girl's mom and his girl's sister. Then you had the other situation where the brother got the samurai sword and just went and killed the youth for no reason. Then you had the other situation of the man who set the people in his house on fire and killed the family. There's a lot of just mad acts, and that other acting, was it Nottingham, Stephen, where the man just took the cutlass and was just chopping people on the road. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now you have to think it's moved from that now. Then you have all right. Let me go back a bit. Apologies, people. Even back to 2013, right here in Brom, the Christina Edkins situation. So these stories are becoming more and more common, but each and every time they get a little bit more worse and worse and worse, until now, a man's actually targeted children, little girls. So you got to think to yourself now, as a parent, or even just as a member of the public, can you swear that where your children go to school, it won't happen? Can you swear that it can't happen in your zone? You cannot. So the way how the press deal with this and the way how the system deal with this, they have to be very careful how they tread, because that community are angry. Imagine knowing to yourself, yo, someone's just came in and attacked innocent children like that for no reason. The unrest down there, the feeling. Imagine the feeling as a parent just getting that call and someone saying, yo, Sally went to school, Sally went to, you sent your little girl to a summer camp, to go and dance and learn Taylor Swift. She's in the summer camp now, just dancing, doing her thing, and a man just targets that place. That parent, you ain't got no words you can say to that parent. That community, you ain't got no words for that community. I'm shocked that people are even condemning them. Imagine say a man, Stephen, I wouldn't even want to imagine it. I wouldn't even want to imagine it, because I don't know what to believe from what not to believe. I'm hearing that they're saying they don't want to show the person's face because they're scared of being labelled racist. Of course you're going to bring out EDL. Of course you're going to bring out Britain's first. I've got common sense. Of course you're going to bring these men out when you start talking like that, because they're starting to believe, yo, it's immigrants that are doing this. That's what the feeling is. I'm not saying that that's the case, but I'm saying when you go on to X and you look at what a lot of people are saying, they're saying that these things are happening based on immigration and this and that and all these different things. These ain't my words. This is what people are saying on X. So if that community believe that, then this situation could most definitely escalate and escalate and escalate. And you're starting to see now, big up the admin, that people are starting to get fed up with these stories. And I've said this time and time again. Saturday stream, I've said this when we spoke about the crossbow murder. I've said this. People are getting fed up of these stories, and they're getting fed up, man. And you got to think each and every time it happens, what the narrative is. Stephen, what are you saying, man?
You have to look, and for those quick ticking them, you have to look and think. You've plastered the girls' names and faces everywhere. Sally 9, Jessica 7, Mary 3. I've just made those up.
Yeah.
And you put their pictures everywhere. Whoever the heck it is, you haven't released a name, a photo. So it's going to look like, it doesn't matter whether the white, black, pink, orange. Well, of course, if they're of color, it's going to seem like an immigration thing. But just the fact, like, even if it was a white, it was a Caucasian brother. Just the fact that you're not releasing the identity and you're also not calling it an act of terrorism. Of course, they're going to feel like it's a miscarriage of justice already. And the legal proceedings haven't even properly started yet.
Exactly. The little girl's face is all over the internet, but the man's face is protected. Come on, man. I hear you, Stephen. Facts.
This always seems to happen now. I don't know what this country's about. They seem to always protect the perpetrators I've noticed that a lot. Because even if you go back to the whole that nurse, I forget the waist girl's name, and she killed how many babies?
Lucy Letby.
Yes, that sketel, so I don't want to say her name. But she was she's locked up, but I'm hearing she's having a whale of a time inside, and she's getting all kinds of preferential treatment because they had to change the law. I think it was before the last government changeover, where if you've been charged with something, you have to come down to the dock. So you have to come down in court and be in the court, because I believe she didn't even come down for a sentencing. She was allowed to just stay in her cell and all of this. Nah, man, you're supposed to come down and have to look victims in the eye, man, and see that real actions have real consequences. You don't get to chill in the cell and watch Curry. That's not how life works.
Yeah, it's devastation, man. These things are devastation. And like you said, the public are being desensitized, but now that folks are targeting children, yeah, this place could get very uncomfortable. The public and not having that, I don't, like you said, and like I'm saying, it's mad that people are even condemning that community, because imagine three children in that community were taken like that, and how many more were injured. That trauma is going to live on with all of them, you know. That trauma is going to live on within that community. Are you going to feel comfortable now within that particular community sending your children out? For the next few months, that community is going to feel uneasy. You're not going to feel comfortable sending your children out in that community to even go roller skating or to do anything. You're not going to want them to gather around other children. Like, people don't understand the after effects of these things. I remember reading about Ian Huntley. You know who Ian Huntley is?
The name rings bells.
Okay, I'll remind you. Ian Huntley is the guy who murdered 2 girls in a particular tight-knit area in the UK. This happened years ago, but he killed 2 young girls.
He's not the one, and he joined the search party.
He joined the search. He was actually helping.
Yeah.
He actually gave an interview. Matter of fact, for those who have got Netflix, is it Netflix? Yeah, on Netflix, they've got a story. It's through the POV of his partner at the time. But if you go back to that story, I remember reading up on it, and they were saying that place has never been the same, you know. Since he killed them 2 little girls, it's never been the same. Like how it once used to be, they've never been able to get back to that. Everyone's to themselves now. Like, everyone's to themselves in that community compared to how it used to be. So that's what I'm saying. You got to think about this Southport now. You got to think those people in Southport now. If I was down there, my child ain't going to no play schemes or none of that. Even if it means that I have to, you know, leave her with family or whatever the case may be, I'm not putting my child in a public setting like that so soon after a situation. There's going to be people that live a million miles away that won't do that after the back of that. Because where's the next story going to come from? So, of course, the members of that community, and not just the members of that community, the British public, of course, they're starting to get fed up, man. Of course, they're starting to get fed up. And the way I see it, unless these things are addressed correctly, when you look at the public unrest, Stephen, which will play a piece of the video in a second, when you look at the public unrest, I've seen this before because I've been front row in a riot before and seen how it kind of gets to the next level. It only takes one risk taker to be like, yo, forget this, and start charging, and the next man will follow, the next man will follow. And eventually the people are going to have enough, Stephen. They're targeting children now. And I know people will say, oh, well, it's not the system who did it. But look at the way how they're protecting the man. Look at the way how they're wording the situation. You know, it's not an act of terror. Imagine if your child got stabbed like that and they're telling you about it's not an act of terror. Come on, man, you're gaslighting the public. So, of course, these guys are going to be vexed. Whether it's EDL, Britain's First, NF, whatever these man umbrella. Of course, I don't understand how people don't understand that these men are going to be vexed. Of course they're going to be vexed, man, because the narrative is, again, this is not my words, people. This is not Stephen's words. But the narrative is that the folks that are doing this are folks that have been given opportunities in Britain and things like that, excluding our folks. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about the new wave of folks. That's the narrative that is being pushed. So now, if you go onto a lot of the forums, I know a lot of men are on Reddit, but if you go onto a lot of these forums where these men are talking, you can go in there as a ghost. You will see the things that are being said, like, yo, we got to take back this thing. Look at Tommy's march the other day. I was watching a behind the scenes video of that march, and Stephen, there was all ages, all walks of life, meaning people that look like the professionals, people that look like the sweet floors, just all walks of life that are on code talking the same thing. When I'm seeing that and that type of gathering like that, Stephen, I'm telling you, there's unrest in the air. So the system need to deal with these things carefully, carefully. Because the point you made was very valid, beautiful point. You go on the internet and you see the free faces of these children, Every website you go on, plastered. But all now, you ain't even got the real name of the individual who did it. Why? And I know there's certain things what the law say. But come on, man, the public have had enough of these attacks. They've had enough. And you can see the direction this thing's going in. You can see the direction it's going in. These men attacked a mosque as well, Come through, Stephen. Come through.
Yeah. What they say, the attacked a mosque. Yeah, it's civil unrest, Mark, because you have to look. It's not just the attacks, man. Like, look how long people have been fighting with the government. I know it's just changed over, but things aren't going to change overnight. So people are upset about from the last administration, like, oh, you've got rid of this. Like, for example, there's no school youth clubs. There's no this. There's no employment and training centers anymore. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of things that are kind of, it might not be seen as a necessity, because backbones of any community, really, the three branches are schools, banks, and hospitals. But like you see with a vertebrae, there's many pieces of a back in it. It's not just those three pieces. So you need like education, you need things for the youth, you need things for people to do, because that's how you get loitering, and loitering leads to crime, and then crime leads to areas deteriorating, and then so on and so on. It's like when you knock over some dominoes or a house of cards. But then you have to also remember, look how many people have been affected by this thing. It's not just the 3 souls that have gone, their families, their friends. Then you have to, don't forget about the other girls, I'm assuming it was all girls in the class, the other girls who would have witnessed all of this, that's lifetime trauma,
Lifetime. These are the things that people ain't discussing. Remember, Stephen, I don't even want to get too personal, but you remember that situation I was telling you about where a man did a madness? I don't want to get too personal, but a man did a madness. The people that witnessed that madness were big men. Big.
Yeah, they're still not right.
They had to get counseling. And that's grown men, and that was one man who got hit. One man. So you imagine them little girls, they'll never be the same, man. Of course, that community has every right to feel angry, to feel upset, to feel let down. Of course they do, man. Because them kind of things have got me questioning what type of activities. Because if I set my pitney somewhere now and one of them madmen decide to target there, you don't know. You just don't know. You don't know, because if you would have asked them people last week, could something like this happen in your place?
Never in a million years.
Never in a million years. Never in a million years. But we're here today talking about it. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's just like after, for me, this is one of the most horrific crimes of all time. Jamie Bolger, that's one of the most horrific crimes in British history. You know about that Jamie Bolger crime?
I do, but remind me. I always forget. I know all these waste man's names, but I forget the crimes.
But Jamie Bolger, that was the youth. It was two boys. They were young, Stephen, like 9 or
And
something.
they led the little boy onto the tracks. And
Onto the
everything.
tracks. They brought him onto the tracks, but
Yeah, them man need to drink acid, man. I remember them, man.
yeah, man. And they were young at the time. And then what had happened was it was one of the worst crimes in British history. It happened in Liverpool. And they brought him onto the track. You can read up what happened next. Horrible story. Even as a youth, that used to bother me enough. Anyway, after that happened, the sale of, you know, them things that children put on, like a harness, and the mom or the dad will have like a lead on it.
So they can't run too far, yeah.
They said that the sales of the harness went through the roof. You couldn't buy them at all after that happened.
Could you imagine?
So you gotta think now. Britain are feeling it and they're hearing these things, and nobody, a lot of these crowded areas, it's like, even when we're out, Stephen, like we'll be somewhere now standing up and you'll hear a man shout like, ah, and I'm looking like, who's that? You see what I mean? You can't ignore them things again, or you have to be very aware of your surroundings. Now, I know with that story, there was a lot of bystanders who got involved. There's a lot of heroes who prevented that from, it was already devastating, but prevented it from being even worse, who tried to take on the man. But you have to think now, Stephen, when you're walking around freely, you just don't know. You could be on a bus, in a restaurant, you just don't know. So in my head, I'm always looking to say, what's that over there? Can that bust his head, or what's that? Even when a man's shouting I don't even want a man within 2 arms lengths back. I need 2 arms lengths back. You know how we roll, Steve. When a man gets too close, we're sweeping that. You're not getting a chance to do them thing there. So this is what I'm saying. They're starting to attack the children now. First, you go and attack the little innocent brother, going to school, minding his business. The man's coming at you, text Sarah, my sword, kill the youth for nothing. Nah, man, the community's got every right to be upset. They got every right to be upset. You don't allow it's terrible, man. It's terrible. But let's look at the thing anyway. Shout out the admin.
Gang.
Oh. So, as we can see, man, first of all, people, if you are not following us, follow us on Instagram at Express Truth Show. Now, we can see what's going on here, man. These guys are angry, and personally, what can I say? I don't have no words to condemn them. As much as it looks like football hooligans, whatever, these are folks within that area that have been affected by this. Let's keep this thing real. So, of course, they feel upset. What are you saying, Stephen?
They say every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So in this scenario, you've had 3 innocent little girls who were just trying to learn a dance routine. They've been cut up. They've been stabbed up like you'd cut up poultry, yeah? Just to be real. Then you then proceed to not release the perpetrator's identity. You also don't deem it an act of terrorism, but you then plaster these victims' faces everywhere, and you think everyone's just going to go home and drink tea and watch EastEnders. Okay, I don't know. Is this by design? Do they want some civil unrest? I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe there's some laws that they want to bring in on the back end of this. I don't know, because I'm not privy to such conversations, Mark. Neither are you. Neither is 99% of the population. But like we've been saying for the last almost hour, trying to dissect this disgusting situation. What happens when you're backed into a corner, man? And it feels like a large majority or a large part of the population of this nation feels that way. They feel like that they're not being heard. They think places are changing, opportunities are being taken away. Certain other groups are being looked after and pushed to the forefront, where them as blood. I'm trying not to sound like EDL rhetoric, you know, but it's getting there.
Man, that's what you say, man, sound like reform.
Flipping heck, bro. I'm trying not to. That's why I'm picking my words
But the thing
carefully.
is, though, it's not. It's easy to sound that way when you really look at things like this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's why it's easy for them to. I'm not defending or anything, because obviously
Of course not.
But that's why it's easy for them to say, "Oh, with the E." But I'm not saying it's true or it's not true. But you know what I mean, Mark? Just because of how it looks, it's easy to say that, because, like we said, we just watched the video. For those who want to watch it again, pull back the show or follow Express Truth Show on Instagram. It does look like, with no context, you would think it's just a football hooliganism thing, upset that they lost the Euros. You would think it's that with no context. But no, it's the backlash of how these things been handled, man. And like we're saying, week by week by week, there's more and more of these cases. They're getting more and more and more frequent. It's getting to a stage where you hear about, sometimes even, and we follow them, you know, we do follow up sometimes, but we don't always report on them. But it feels like sometimes absolute madness like this happens. You hear about, oh, so-and-so killed, so-and-so, this act. Oh, a person, an unnamed person has been arrested. Oh, it's act terrorism, it's not terrorism. It's mental health, it's not mental health. And then you don't hear anything else till the next one. And then the next one. And then the next one. As if like they're not real people or they're not real victims, or it doesn't affect a wider scope of people. Like, for argument's sake, families of the lost ones, family of the one who committed the act. It affects people on both sides.
1,000.
Like, you haven't just taken 3 lives, man. Like, you've ruined how many countless lives, including your own?
Hundreds there, really, still. Because you got to think that's like parents, grandparents, siblings, school teachers, friends, neighbors, people in the area. There's a lot affected by crimes like that. I remember putting that uneasiness in the air. It's like, you remember when back when September 11th happened, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And September the 11th happened, but you had all the madness that was going on back over in them places like Iraq and Afghanistan and all them places, yeah? But remember, when September 11th happened, there was an uneasiness about people traveling, and because with that, even though it was on a smaller scale compared to what was going on when them mans was trying to hit, when they were going back at the situation, the uneasiness was something that was like 1,000,000 to 1. Because in a place that gets bombed, people expect it to get bombed, innit? Let's keep it real. But in a place that never gets troubled like that, where internally people were attacking it, that was creating like an uneasiness. You see what I'm saying? To where that was just creating a mad uneasiness. Let's just put it like that. And that's what's happening now in Britain. And you see when that uneasiness is being created and people are starting to believe like, yo, they're second class or third class, and they're starting to believe that. Yeah, man, get ready for way more scenes like this. Trust me. Get ready for more scenes like this, because you got to think now, a man's purposely targeted children.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think now, like a man's gone there to target children, and then you got to think that anger. So it's like, I always use that reference. Man. Remember Higher Learning? And you had that guy in Higher Learning, the far right brother.
The skinhead, yeah.
But remember, he was making himself more angry for no reason. So it's like,
especially you see it in the scene when he's sitting in the library.
And he's like, I'm not, what was he saying at the time? He's like, yo, I'm not, I can't remember what he was saying, but he got turned mad radical. Now I'm saying now, how easy do you think it would be now for some 16-year-old who's on his phone, who's watching this, you know what I'm saying, who then goes on to X and he truly believes what he's reading, recipe for disaster. Trust me. So this is what I'm saying now. All these narratives and stuff, people have to be very careful with them and how they're promoting these narratives, because right now we're in a high time of influence and people are looking at these things and they are drawing conclusions in their head and they're believing that they're being targeted, which that's what it's starting to look like, man. There's brothers that are just going out there and just saying, yo, look at the Nottingham guy. You see what I'm saying? Just imagine that, just, yo, I'm just going to go and attack innocent people. So yeah, man, of course the country is going to feel uneasy. Of course. And if these things are not addressed correctly, of course these things can escalate. I just don't understand what planet people are living on that they think people are not going to be upset. And then when people are like, let the police deal with it. If it's true what they're saying on X, of course. Come on, man.
No, but you think, like, you have to look at the history of this nation, you know, especially in the last few years. How many things can people take lying down? Like, if you really want to talk about it, Mark, there's been a lot of unrest going back from COVID. Like, a lot of people weren't for the vaccine and, you know, all of that stuff. And then even further than that, the amount of horror stories I heard, people would have loved ones on the hospital. I'm not saying it was all CV24, but, you know, the wards were kind of shut down and stuff and all of that. Their loved ones would be there dying alone. Like, they couldn't see them.
Yeah, man.
And then even after the past, they can't see the body and all of this stuff. Like, it was an absolute mazza. And a lot of people haven't forgiven the nation from then. And then you just keep doing things. Like, listen, I know Jesus said turn the other cheek, but remember, you've only got two, you know. How many times can you keep turning them until they're both red, raw, and sore?
You got to think to yourself, Stephen, yeah? What you just laid out there was beautiful. There's horror stories, and that's what they are. They're horror stories because we grow through life. We don't go through life. We grow through life. And we grow with our loved ones. So the one thing we expect is to be able to say goodbye properly. So if you got a loved one who's on a hospital ward dying and you're told, yo, he has to die alone. So not only are you not there to say your goodbye, but that, you know, that person was lonely. Now you're being told this for whatever reason. And then a few months down the line, you get to find out that the same individuals that were telling you this were partying and drinking wine and eating cheese together.
Exactly.
So of course a man's going to be like, what these men are disrespect. Then on top of that, a man's pottering along, paying his little council tax, paying his little gas and electric, just getting on with life, working, got his little social life, and through no fault of his own now, he's living on a living on a promise or whatever. So you gotta think the anger that has been created. And not only that, a man turns on his YouTube. I'm telling you right now, like, let's keep this thing 1000, Stephen, because I was really invested in the last elections. Mm-hmm. And when you listen to a lot of the different political views and things that were being said,
yeah,
what Reform was saying was like, yo, you see what I'm saying? Like, they were saying things that, like, made sense. And I'm saying that as a black man. They were saying things like, because I was thinking, right, could I disagree with what he was saying? And I know it sounds mad what I'm saying, but I was like, be real, Mark. Can you disagree? I understand that there's a lot of gaslighting. I understand there's a lot of manipulation. I get that. But if we just stick on topic, could I disagree with what the man was saying, some of the things? And the answer's no. And that's based off of things like this. Because an unsafe community affects all of us. Black, white, brown, yellow, pink, whatever. It affects all of us, an unsafe environment. That's one thing we can agree on. And now men are targeting children. We we don't know the full details of the individual yet. They're gonna release these details eventually, but I'm guaranteeing you that it's some guy who was let out of a mental institution early, or somehow they failed. The
He's
system
known to
failed
the
somehow.
system or something.
Yeah, somehow it's going to be that the
Sorry to cut
system
you off
let
there.
this
You just
happen.
reminded me. Wasn't
Yeah.
it? It was the Nottingham Mazza with the guy and he stabbed bare people and he was climbing through windows and all of that. That was Nottingham, innit?
Nottingham, yeah.
You remember him? He was mad. He was known to the police as he was not the police and the system. You see?
Yeah.
So those were preventable deaths, you know. So other people should have been charged, really.
There you go. This is what I'm trying to say. So you got to think now. The country is starting to hear these things. Remember, it was literally, I could even play it. It was this was literally what? I'm gonna tell you the date. This was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. My man was telling me, no, he was saying, yo,
Situation, if you're with someone,
almost be damn near perfect in the steps that you take with folks. Because you see that Kyle guy, yeah? My man killed not only his girl, but his girl's sister and his girl's mother. Now, people are crashing out right now, Noble. If you notice, we're hearing a lot of these kind of mad crimes that are taking place. The reason for that is because people are crashing out. So many people. That was only on the 13th of July. That was on the 13th of July. Then if you go back before that, yeah, that's the 13th of July. Go back 1 month before that. There was another, 2 months. The maniac who killed the young boy. See what I'm saying? So it's just a regular, there's all these stories just coming out. So, of course, it's going to create public unrest because people are fed up now. They're tired of it now, man. And then you got to think how the media, it's like they're almost fueling a lot of this, you know. The media in how they're reporting on certain things. We have to be careful because they're fueling a lot of these narratives, you know. I'm telling you, because it's like, look at even the rumors. Some man is saying, yo, some man have even said to me, messaged me and said, they ain't released it. It's a black guy from Rwanda. Then I'm like, how would you know that? If the news or no one ain't said nothing, yeah, that's the rumors on X. Then you go on X and they're saying, nah, it was a guy from another, it was like another, I don't even want to say places, but it was some other place and it wasn't a black guy. Then they're saying, it was a Muslim guy. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and then and then think about it, that mob attacked a mosque. Not that exact mob, but an angry mob attacked a mosque. So you got to say to yourself now, oh, somebody probably read that. Yo, it was A, B, or C. Yo, we need to go and get back. Then they've gone and damaged the mosque. So you got to say to yourself now, if the government are not the government, if the media are not careful in how they're reporting these things, this is the time where professional journalism needs to step in. Because there's a lot of men on YouTube and on TikTok and on X that I think they're just making things up, Stephen, like to fit their narrative. Because even with Robinson, I'm how you know this was that? I'm not saying it wasn't that, you know, Stephen, but how do we know for a fact it was that? And even if it was that, which I'm totally against, that is an individual. Just like Lucy Letby was an individual. She targeted children, but she was an individual. So let's not put umbrellas over these things, even though I do understand where the anger comes from. What are you saying, Stephen?
Sorry, I was just going to say, of course to make it up. Because how many times have we had where we've gone off the back of mainstream media, even down to a few months ago when we were reporting on the Fredo, the Nines, the scrap situation, and we had to be given some clarity off air, and that was coming from a mainstream. You know what I mean? That wasn't we never took it from an article of X. It wasn't from a Reddit feed. I can't recall who it was. That was from like the Sun or the Sky. You know what I mean? A quote unquote reputable source of information and journalism. And it was all BS. So you have to, like we always say, this is why we like to read the articles, because if something is proven to be wrong, we'll openly come on and admit it. That's no problem. But I don't want people to think like, nah, express truth or say, no, we don't just make things up. We offer opinions and stuff. But if it comes to sources of information, we'll use them and read them and quote them. But then even they lie. So you have to take everything with a pinch of salt.
It's true. It's true, man. Mainstream. And it's like, getting back to this situation, it's like you have to think to yourself, when's the next time? When? A week from now? A month from now? When's the next madman gonna pop out and do something mad? So you have to say to yourself, the public have had enough. The public they're at a point now of they're starting to feel uneasy. And that's why we're starting to hear certain takes on GB News and all these. You're starting to notice like a lot of ex-sports professionals and things like that are coming out and almost green lighting this feeling. In closing, I'll say this, man.
Final thoughts, man.
As a parent, of course, this is sad, very, very sad. And of course, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth as a parent, because now, of course, if you're bringing your children to a play scheme or a publicly crowded place, of course, you're going to feel uneasy about doing that. It ain't no scaremongering thing, but of course, you just don't know when one of these psychos are going to pop out. The other day, I was in a car park and a man was shouting, just walking in circles. Now, that's mental illness. But I don't know, could he be a man who's trying to do a madness like this or attack a member of the public? You just don't know. You just don't know. So, people, take it easy, man. What are you saying, Stephen?
People, let's try and look out for each other, man. And look out for the young ones, man. All you can do in this crazy world, try and live good with people, try and keep wrong from right, walk with whichever religious figure you believe in, and just try to keep a clean heart, man. That's all it is, man. There's nothing else we can do, because if we can't rely on the system, we have to rely on ourselves, don't we?
That's it, man. That's it. So, people, it's Unfiltered, Express Truth Show, making Thursdays great again. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. If you're one of them that are saying, oh, you man ain't active, A, B, or C, you know what to do. Hit the link for the Patreon. If not, we'll see you next time, man. We're out of here, people.
Hi, guys. We get a lot of questions about how I get my hair and my waves so silky smooth. So I'm gonna let you in on the secret now. We have these 100% satin do-rags. These are good for all hair types and textures. Whether you have waves, whether you've got plaits, whether you've got dreads, whether you just want to keep your hair flat. Gents as well. This is for the man them, no. Don't tell anyone I told ya. If you want to extend that haircut, then throw on your do-rag, man. Tie it at night, you roll around, it flattens the hair. Ladies, you get your nice little do on, you want to look good, you got a big date coming up. Tie it down, boo. You don't need to worry about it messing up when you wake up. You jump up. Come, so you ready for road, man? 100% satin do-rags. Click the link in the bio.